Hello everyone, Kyle Cardinal with The Truth Matters. Guilty until proven innocent. The Canadian government right now is trying to change up our legal system from innocent until proven guilty to guilty until proven innocent. The Coutts Four: Chris Lysak, Tony Oleanek, Jerry Morin, and Chris Carbert. All four men were arrested at the Coutts border February of 2022. Conveniently around the time that the Trudeau government needed justification to implement the Emergency Act to disperse peaceful protests Canada-wide. All four men have been in remand for 650 plus days. For those that don't know what remand is, it's purgatory for the prison system. The place where you just sit in a cage waiting to be processed and moved to a facility where you will at least be treated like a human. They're political prisoners. They're being held without due process. 2 years sitting in one spot in a cage. It's the equivalent of 4 years probably in a normal time in a regular prison. Since there is no due process, these four men are essentially serving time just for being accused of a crime. Therefore, they were pronounced guilty until proven innocent. Margeret Granny Mackay, the beautiful, selfless woman that has dedicated her last 2 years of life to these men through fundraising $320,000, spending almost every night on the phone with at least one or more of the men, and as well taking care of their families the best way that she possibly can. For the last 3 months, Jason Lavigne, Donald Best, Jeremy Mackenzie, and Morgan May have conducted a character assassination on Granny through defamatory accusations without providing any evidence to their contrary. They have accused little old Granny of stealing $680,000 using their lawyer money to buy a vehicle and to go on an all expense paid trip to Scotland with funds donated to the Coutts for. Granny and the lovely ladies who have been helping her are also being accused of elder abuse by the Lavigne group and the Mackenzie group as well. This presentation that follows will show you that in fact the Lavigne-Mackenzie groups are the ones who have been abusing Mr. Lysak. Since this premeditated attack began 3 months ago, all fundraising for these courageous men has pretty much come to a standstill as of today. This assault on Granny and friends was done by Lavigne and Mackenzie groups under the guise of restoring public confidence in fundraising, but upon the plan implemented, it has done the complete opposite. Never in any time in history have the ones who are dividing the people been the good guys. And if you look back on the last 4 years, you will see that the government has been trying to divide us any way they can. This time is no different. First off, disclaimer, I would like to say I am doing this on my own. Nobody asked me to do this. I just saw a bunch of bullies picking on some beautiful women, dedicated to these 4 guys and their families that are going through the worst times in their life. I'm gonna keep, so nothing, this isn't on them. None of those women, your problem is with me now, you guys. This is me, okay? Don't you dare turn this around and say, look what these ladies have done. This is me. This presentation is going to go very quick. I'm just putting the evidence up. I'm not going to add in all the word salad that you see these other 2 groups throwing in there. I'm only giving you guys evidence. This is what should have been done from the beginning, from the other side, from their accusations. Not just accusations. They should have been putting evidence down. The first thing you're about to see here is a video and then some letters from all the Coutts men plus all the people in their family explaining that they've always trusted Granny. They trust Granny with their heart, their souls. They love Granny. And you're also going to see a video from 3 months ago, August 8th, when all these attacks started. The attack started August 1st. Granny and the family members had to come on and try to debunk what was being said even back then. These attacks have continued and have only built up in the last 3 months till now. This all has to stop. So first thing you're going to see here is the video of the family, and then you're going to see these letters play out. When these letters play out, I'm going to just put them up on the screen fast. Please just pause them and read them yourself. I'm trying to keep this as short of a video and as sweet as a video as I can. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Betty Carbert, and I just want to make it clear to everybody out there that I am in full support of Granny Margeret doing fundraising and advocating for my son and the other 3 men. I know she's doing it for too. And I do not want to entertain listening to people criticizing or saying things that are untrue, possibly, and without having any verification from those of us who count. That's it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline. I am Jerry's wife. I second that, Betty. Margeret has been with us since day one, it feels like. She ran towards us when everyone ran away, and we trust her implicitly with our advocacy as well as our funds. She is the only official spokesperson that we all agree on, and we would like to redirect attention back to her efforts and any rumors that might be floating around out there that she's not to be trusted or has undermined her in any way within our position with the Coutts 4 is to be dismissed immediately and not perpetuated in any way. We will not stand for her good character to be tarnished. That's unacceptable. Thank you.
I'm Danielle, and as some of you know, I am big on facts and making sure everything that's been put out there about the guys is accurate, whether it makes them look good or not. And I'm not going to stand for having things that aren't true and aren't validated by the family, coming out of the family. It's not okay. So Granny Margeret, we've been working with her for well over 9 months now. About 9 months ago, the families got together and agreed that this was our platform. We were going to brand this because other people were doing fundraisers, and we fully encourage everybody to do fundraisers and to reach out to Granny and have a place that you can bring your fundraise money to that you trusted, that all the families have approved. We've never had a problem with this system. It's been very, very successful, and we've done that so that there's trust built around the platform, and we encourage other people to host stuff. Like I say, we help promote it, and everything's easy peasy. So we don't want to break that. Anything else outside of that is untrue. This has never been a problem, and anything outside of that is very untrue as far as the way money gets shuffled around. Do not pay lawyers. Do not send e-transfers to lawyers. That is not a family-approved method. So, yeah, and anything you see online that's been posted about the men, Granny, please reach out if you're wondering about the truth. We'll hopefully be able to kind of pull together a little group video for you guys every week, and the truths will be with the family and the friends. That's a guarantee. How about Mike?
Okay, do you want me to speak?
Yep, speak.
Okay, I guess I fully support Margeret Mackay, because without her, we'd be in big trouble right now. And I think there's other people out there looking to try to profit from this, and it's wrong. So I put my full support behind Granny.
Thanks, Mike.
Nikki and Tessie?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
I'm speaking on. Oh, do you want to talk, Tessie?
No, you stop, please.
I'm speaking on behalf of Tessie. She has her full support behind Granny. Granny's been there for quite a while with us, and we support Granny. So please support Granny, and thank you.
And I'm Granny Mackay.
Yes.
I've only ever wanted the best for these guys and their families. I won't fight. I won't argue. I won't even defend myself out there because I haven't done anything wrong.
That's right.
That's right. We love you, Granny.
And I just ask, please stop. You're hurting the guys and you're hurting these people right here. None of us want this. We just want to help the men. And if you think you've heard something, just ask us. Just ask us. Just come and have a dialogue. Communicate. And if I made a misunderstanding on something, talk to me. I'll own it. But all these accusations are horrible. And I won't leave, and I won't stop helping these people. I said I would be here until they got out, and I meant it. So, everyone, please keep supporting these lovely people and the wonderful men that are sitting in the remands.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret. We love you, Granny.
God bless you, Granny.
Thank you.
Okay, hopefully you did pause those letters and go through all of them. What's up on the screen right now is Granny's post explaining that she's gone through all the books. And I'll let you guys just have a little look at that while I read. As of November 22nd, 2023, Mike Lysak, Tessie Sanchez Oleanek, Jacqueline Martin have all gone through the accounting of donations and agree everything balances to their satisfaction. Betty Carbert and myself spoke last night. She is away on holiday and will go through accounting when she arrives back in Alberta. This is Granny's post that she put out when she got back and went and met with the families from her trip to Scotland. All right, what's coming up next here is a video that went out after Donald and Lavigne put out their report on Granny with all these accusations and no evidence whatsoever. Granny was forced to go on air, do a live, and answer to these lovely accusations from Lavigne and Donald, not from the family members, from Lavigne and Donald. To put all the fires out, she went on and showed all the proof of what she and explained her part of all this. So you're gonna watch these. I'm gonna leave them, roll them right through. George did a really great job with Bob Leone asking the questions and getting the stuff. So I just clipped theirs. I cut out any of the background stuff. I only put in George's question and Granny's answer. What's going to follow in the show notes when I put this out is going to be the full video. If you want to check that out, please do. I'm just saving you guys some time. I tried doing this all in a meme. I couldn't do it. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than a meme. But here's the clips. You watch for yourself. Make your own decisions what you think of Granny.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, Granny. Here's my first one. Did anyone ask you personally to see the books?
Not while I was traveling around and when I was doing what I was doing. I did receive an email from Betty when I was in Scotland, just because she wanted to get her niece to balance her books. So it was a fair request. When I got back with all the confusion, it's been very confusing in the last few months. And again, that's my bad thing. I'm not a bookkeeper. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I didn't, but It wasn't being hid. I just was busy but here we are. Now we deal with it.
That's right. And you were very busy and, and thank you for doing that. And thank you. Has the family seen the books, and what was the outcome if they have seen the books?
Okay, so I did go and I saw Tessie Oleanek, Mike Lysak, and Jacqueline Martin. Betty is out of the country right now, but she's fully aware of the books being ready. Her and I have booked a time in December to get together. The three of them looked at the books. Everything is fine. Because the way it worked is I have a bank account and only the guy's donation money goes into that bank account. So money comes in and then 4 e-transfers go out. So that's how that works. It's very simple. If there was an e-transfer for a certain amount, let's say to do with the barn event, when we had that fundraiser, the e-transfer, say to Greg Arcade for his travel money, is well documented. Everything's documented. Everything can be seen. Now for the cash, all the money was added at larger events with somebody else. It was the smaller events like coffee dates, going to the whistle stop. Those cash donations, I just did by myself. I took the money in good faith and I gave it in good faith. And what I did is I would take the money, I would divide it into 4 piles put it into a baggie, and I would give each bag to Mike Lysick, Tessie Oleanek, Betty Carbert, and Jacqueline Martin. And that, it was working. It was fine. Like, so I didn't question it. They were happy with it, so I was happy with it.
You know, what was the reasons why not having the books public? Was there some sort of reasons? Maybe you know, you wanted to keep people's confidentiality. I don't know. Like, yeah.
Well,
why?
and the thing is, honestly, it was just an oversight. Never really thought about it because I never had large sums of money all the time because the money came in, the money went out. Oh, and I forgot, the Give, Send, Go also was linked to that account. So the Give, Send, Go went into that account and then it went out in 4 e-transfers. So to be honest, it's an oversight. It didn't seem like, yes, it should be a major thing, but the 4 men were the major part of this, just running around telling people about them. So again, nothing malice, just an oversight on somebody that just didn't think about it.
Okay, and my next one, you kind of answered it already, but you can answer it in a little more detail if you want. Was the cash counted by more than one person after the fundraisers?
At the larger events. So you got to remember, we only did 2 events. We did the Olds Barn and we did the Bicycer event for the supper. Every other event that was out there was added either by me and somebody else or by them, and then they gave it to me and it went into the account, or it was divided again into 4 bags and given to the family. So most of the time, yes, added by somebody else. On coffee dates and etc. by me.
Yes, and
can Yep. So I've been everywhere with Granny, involved right from day one. I was in Olds. The cash was kept in locked boxes. There was another lady and myself. We went back to the kitchen. We counted it 2 or 3 times, put the amount back in the locked box, put a tag in the box that specified the amount that was in the box, and locked it back up and sealed it back up.
Just one more thing I want to say about the cash donations.
Yeah.
I wrote everything in a book. It's old school. It's with ink and paper, but every time cash came in, I wrote it in a book. And every time I sent e-transfers out or made 4 little bags, I wrote it in this book.
So was the cash split even 4 ways?
Yes, all the money that came through me was divided 4 ways. Now I want to make a correction in there. So if I don't, when Jerry was locked in segregation in Lethbridge and he was literally out 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour at night, he had an iPad and all he could do is get movies. So $250 came in and it was ear tagged in the comments for that. So that money would go to Jerry or something for Tony or something for Chris. So when things, and it would only be 3, but you can see where it went because the e-transfer went to their family member.
God bless you, Granny. God bless you. And you already answered this. How was the cash delivered and was it documented? Most of it was, you know, you've already answered that question. Did I get
signatures when the family took the money? No, and my daughter's smacking my hand for that. Again, we felt like family. I trusted, they trusted. We're doing something none of us are used to doing. We're literally winging it. They didn't ask for a signature. I didn't ask for a signature. People at other events never asked for signatures. Everybody was just trying to do something right. And none of us this isn't our lives.
Did anyone ask you personally for cash receipts?
To my recollection, no, just one. And this gentleman had book sales. It came to $270. I immediately put it into the Give, Send, Go with his name. Then I took a screenshot of the Give, Send, Go with his name and I registered, mailed it to his address. So as far as I know, he received that envelope because I never got it back. And that's the only one. If somebody else did ask me, I honestly don't remember. So, and I've never, no emails, no nothing requesting receipts.
So there could be someone out there in the group that was asked for receipts and maybe did this and maybe did that, but it wasn't you.
Yeah. And again,
to
my recollection, I don't remember. Sometimes when I'm out, it's very confusing. I have a lot of people coming at me and it's a little overwhelming. So to my knowledge and what I can remember, no, I don't remember. So no.
Fair. That's fair. Okay, this is one that's where did this $1 million donations rumor come from, that $1 million was raised and $2 million is the goal and this stuff? Where did this accusation come from?
Okay, so I've done videos, like I've been on platforms, and I would tell people that the men are going to need $2 million to get through this. And then I've said, like the 300,000-ish that went through us, plus what the men have sold and gave to, like they sold equipment, etc., and gave to their lawyers. So the $1 million is a total of the money raised and the bills that have been paid by the lawyers, which is $1 million-ish. But no $1 million came through me. Like, no.
Now back to Jason Lavigne. Yesterday, Jason Lavigne's post on Twitter. Yesterday, Chris Lysak gave Margeret notice to stop using his name because she convinced Mike Lysak to avoid him. Lie. I talked to Mike Lysak. That's a lie. Now the two men have told her to stop using their names. It will be interesting to see what she says about them. Wow, Jason. Wow. You are manipulating, you are lying, and you're caught red-handed. And there's more. There's always going to be more with you, my friend. Now, so I dug into the four, and these are just posts. And this is about Jason saying that Chris Lysak gave Margeret notice. Here it is. I didn't say I wanted nothing to do with Granny. What I want nothing to do with is the drama and backstabbing. Got it all. You guys can see this right on the Alberta political prisoner thing here. That's where I got it from. And then I got Mike Lysak. Thank you, Granny, for everything you have done. I have the utmost confidence in you and how you have helped, regardless of what detachers would say. Love you, Granny. And then I got from Tessie, no words can express my gratitude towards you and your family. Your commitment and dedication to my son, myself, and the other families. You have given up your time with your family for yours. Your love for these men can never be explained. And this is all on the page as well. You can go and read it, everyone. All right. And then we also have Betty Carbert's too. I just wanted to put it out there that 100% support Granny in her fundraising efforts. There was never been a moment doubt in my mind that all the money raised wasn't being divided equally for all four men. And you can go and read that too if you want, right on the page. Granny, did you lash out? And this is my last question for you, actually. Did you lash out to anyone and threaten for lawsuits?
No.
So they're painting you as this person, as this leader and stuff. And I know who was lashing out for about the lawsuits. I know who it was. And this lady was mad. She was mad because buddies were selling some stuff, and she was fine with that. But then they started an email and tried to take e-transfers for the men, and I think they might have got some, but then they wouldn't show their books. They wouldn't show their books. And I also know that for facts as well, because I talked to Mike personally and I talked to him about this. Jacqueline had nothing to do with him shutting his phone off. Chris, his son, just assumed it was because of Jacqueline because they were talking. It was just a misunderstanding on Chris Lysak's part. It really was. And Mike knows why he shut his phone off, and it had nothing to do with Jacqueline. It had to do with this $30K they were trying to get, and that's all the money that he had, and he had to keep it for bills, and he would have $0. Like, he couldn't give it up. And it was Mike's decision not to give it that $30 for whatever lawyer thing. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I just talked to Mike. Jacqueline, your name is cleared out of all that, girl, 100%. Now, Granny, I hear that there's going to be a file started, if you haven't already started it.
Yes.
Can you please speak on the file and maybe who is going to be in that file? Are you ready to talk about that?
Well, I'll share a little bit. I've been collecting, I guess, evidence. I basically want to file a criminal harassment. This has been going on since the end of July, start of August. I haven't said anything because I thought it would stop. And it just keeps escalating. It keeps getting worse. Every time I come around a corner, I feel like I'm getting punched in the gut again. And this gentleman is popping up everywhere. He started a private group on Twitter to come after me. I think
everybody knows who it is at this point.
And so I started collecting everything. I sent an email back on August 14th. This started with a misunderstanding between 3 people at the end of July. I sent an email August 14th because this gentleman went public on social media. I don't air stuff like this. I don't act like a 14-year-old teenager, not at 61. I wanted to talk about it private over a kitchen table, but he decided to take it public. So I sent him an email August 14th and I said, I will never discuss this again. Our communication is done. He has been going behind people's, like behind scenes everywhere I show up. Like for example, tonight, he's still doing it. He contacted one of the organizers. I've got the screenshots. He was trying to manipulate what was going to be talked about tonight. Going back to the 2 Chris's again, that I'm not allowed to talk about them. I'm not allowed, that I will be recorded. And this information will go back to the families to be dealt with.
Well, we already got the proof that you're allowed to talk to him. I got it right here.
But he's still in the shadows. He's still doing this. I don't know if this is called cyber stalking. I don't know what it's called, but it's stalking.
Yeah.
And a police report. I was just getting everything together. I've been trying to get a hold of an officer, but due to timing and everything, but it will be done within the next day or so. I will follow through with this. I've got enough evidence. Others will be named in this because they are also going behind the scenes. Thank you to everybody that's been reaching out to me and showing me who's coming in behind the scene and trying to, it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Trying to railroad it. And at this point, I'm really wondering why. Was there a meeting about you going to Scotland?
Okay, that I did not know about until a few days ago. And the only reason I found out about it is because there's a trickery email or text, I guess it is. With
I'm going to read it.
So I guess at, what was it? Vulcan Demolition Derby. Jacqueline, Danielle, and Mike Lysak were sitting around and they got talking and they said, I guess, like when this is all over, it would be nice to have a fundraiser for Margeret and send her to Scotland. And that's from what I've heard, because I'm just hearing things. That's what it was. It was just talk about sending me to Scotland as a gift and
All right, I won't add anything to what you just saw there. Hopefully you're able to read some body language and everything. Hear the words, see it for yourself, that this is what this woman has done. What's coming up next is the text messages from Jason Lavigne to Mr. Lysak, George with Mr. Lysak, and then Danielle with Mr. Lysak. All right, so I'll pop up this first one on screen. That's from Jason Lavigne to George, who Jason actually calls Tyson. Here's from Jason. Hey man, I understand that you spoke with Donald. I wanted to share with you that we have confirmed that Margeret did accept donation money to pay for her vacation. Mike Lysak confirmed in writing. Before I send it to you, feel free to ask Margeret yourself if she accepted used donations for her personal reasons without disclosing it to Betty or the donors. We are trying to add credibility in fundraising. Too many people need help. And here we have Lavigne's evidence, he's calling it. Hello, Mike. My apologies that the last few weeks have been challenging for you and your family. I'm happy Chris is getting a new lawyer. I hope that helps. One question, if you don't mind, in the vote to allow Margeret to have some donated money to cover her vacation, did you feel pressured to say yes or not? I was told everyone except Betty voted yes. Thanks. Have a great day. Mike gives the yes and a thumb up. And then he says, we talked about it at the Vulcan Demolition Derby. Jacqueline, Danielle, and I agreed she needed a break. Lavigne, thanks, Mike. She really was working hard and needed a break. What was the agreement for the total? I was not pressured into that. I misread your original question. I was driving with my granddaughter, says Mike. Lavigne again. That is great. I'm glad you were not pressured. I sincerely hope you have no issues or stress from anything. It won't come from me. I understand you agreed. And then Mike peps in. To what? That I was pressured? I totally agreed that Granny should be rewarded and wasn't pressured. Enter Lavigne again. No, I don't think you were pressured at all. I understand that you agreed to allow Margeret to use donated money as a reward, and she used for personal reasons. So the next is, the truth is absolutely understood, Mike. I am sorry that someone told you to tell me to wait for Donald's report. I am waiting for the report too. God bless. And then a thumb up from Mike happens. Then Lavigne again. Have a good night, Mike. I am sorry to hear that your brother was not doing well. Is he okay? Mike says yes and gives the issue of his brother, which we won't read. Thank you for sharing. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Reach out anytime, says Lavigne. So then Mike sat for a bit, I guess, and comes back. I don't know. I just gave my approval. What is this, Jason? Are you trying to diss Granny more than you already have? And then it says, I was told to tell you to check Donald's report. And then he must have sent the report. I don't even know what that is, so you guys will have to look yourself. And then Lavigne peps in. Hi, Mike. I don't diss Margeret. I appreciate you being honest and answering the questions. Have a good night and take care. So now we're going to go into George Billings, also known as Tyson. His text messages with Mike. Mike Lysak. I didn't agree to anything and there was no vote. We just discussed rewarding Granny for all her hard work. After reading his text, I am now aware how he was manipulating me to answer questions that were vague and was trying to get me to say something that I see now as something I wouldn't have agreed to. Awesome, thanks. One question, Mike. Did Donald ever contact you directly and ask you any questions before he did that report? Mike answers, no. Another question, Mike. The grand that Watson was trying to get from you, was it donated money or is it your personal money? 20,000 was my own money, the rest donated, says Mike. George comes in again. So 10K was donated money and came from Granny. Mike responds, I also got some from Marco. There were many people who sent Chris money. The money Granny sent me is for expenses for the mortgage, utilities, insurance, taxes, etc. George says, awesome, thank you. He also has a line of credit that costs $400 a month, says Mike. All right, so now we're going to move on to Danielle and Mr. Lysak's text messages. these messages were going on at the same time that Mike was talking to Lavigne. There's just a thing before saying we'll get through this. That's Danielle in the green. This is Mike again with the thumb up. I would like to tell him where to stick it. I hope he has all his information right. What he said that it was Betty that voted against it. I don't know. I wasn't there when you guys talked to her. So then Danielle peps in. Voted against what? Mike again. I don't know. I said talking to you and Nikki. We talked about rewarding Granny with a trip to Scotland. Danielle peps in. Are you freaking kidding me? I wouldn't even respond to that crap. That is the biggest lie of all. Then Mike peps in. Do you want me to send you his text? And she says, okay. I don't even want to look, she says. So he sends the text that we read earlier to allow Margeret to have blah, blah, blah. So now Danielle peps in, says, I'm confused. He asked if we pressured you to give Granny donation money to go to Scotland and you said yes, LOL. Then he says, no, thumb down. All as I said is that I agreed to perhaps reward Granny for her hard work. So then Danielle says, I think Jason might have interpreted your yes with the thumb up that way. I don't think I was involved in any conversations like that. I heard she decided to go and at most said, good, she deserves it. So then Mike pops in. I was talking with you and Jacqueline and the subject came up. I agreed that she should be rewarded. Oh yes, that's how it's going. I think he is spinning a tale and I just told him to quit dissing Granny. So Danielle says, he tricked you, I think. There was no vote on giving her money. Oh, okay, I said I wasn't aware of the vote. I just said I wasn't present. And then he sends what you guys have already seen from the other text. So then he keeps going. I think the way he worded it in the original question threw me off or I wouldn't have agreed with it. Anything said about how nice rewarding her would be in Vulcan pretty much just stayed at that. No money was ever raised or given to her for that trip. Mike again, I know, he was trying to set me up. And then all of a sudden, Danielle peps in, says, this is why the block feature is handy on our phones, haha. I remember us talking about sending her away when this is all over and done with. I remember Scotland or Disneyland. All right, so what you just saw out of those texts, the reason that I put these texts up there, George and Bob had done this, showed these texts, didn't have Danielle's text for one at that time, so they just read it off camera on paper. I wanted to put those up on screen this time in order to, well, for you guys to actually see it. I don't know where the disconnect went with Lavigne and Donald, but once they watched Granny's rebuttal, I don't even know what to call it, watched her explain all their accusations away and explain that none of them were true, they showed these texts, or they read out these texts, they clearly showed that Lavigne was manipulating Mr. Lysak. And hopefully you got the same thing that the rest of us are getting. What they went from Granny and Bob Layout Loan and George's live, they went straight from there to vindicated! 85% vindicated on all accusations, they said after watching Granny's stuff, after seeing all this stuff. And all as they kept doing was repeating those words to their mindless people who are actually watching that show. They just kept repeating vindicated. And then because they repeated it so much, it actually became the truth for these people watching. Not many, but enough that it's caused great grief. At this point, Lavigne and Donald should have came forward and said, all right, yeah, that does look like maybe it was a mistake. So at this point, he could have easily said, okay, that was a mistake, or made up an excuse, whatever. But he didn't. He doubled down and said vindicated. Granny has proved all their accusations true, up to 85% of them. Which is lunacy, which is madness, which has made me today, I think I'm like day 12 of 18 hours a day, digging into every part of these guys' lives. I watched 30 hours of Donald and Lavigne talking, and I don't want to ever have to go through this ever again, to listen to either of their two twisted voices ever again. They came out of that thing and doubled down and said, all right, we're winning. That's not what should have happened. So that's proving to me that, and it should be proven to the rest of you, that he clearly knows that he was caught in this. He clearly now knows that it was him that is causing all the grief, because from those texts, what happened from that point was now Lavigne went over to Mackenzie, told Mackenzie, I've got all the evidence. Mike gave it all in writing. So now that part of the group, the team, went straight to Chris Lysak saying, yeah, we got proof they've been stealing money from you, which set poor Chris Lysak off. And if you guys can imagine what almost 2 years of sitting in a cage would do to your brain, how vulnerable you would be, how anyone manipulating you can get away with what they were doing. What I'm going to play next for you guys is a 10-minute clip of these guys saying vindicated and inverting it back as if Granny and those women, and by the way, these guys seem to hate women, but they kept going on about these women, these horrible women. How could they do that to Mike? How could they do this to Chris? I'm going to stop. I'm going to let you guys watch this video and you make the decision yourself. All right, roll the clip.
Okay, fine. At 35:18, Mackay confirms that Jacqueline Martin phoned Mike Lysak, the father of the prisoner, Chris Lysak. And again, we get into this point that this was subsequent to that tearful plea from Chris, leave my fam. He says, he demanded, quote, Jacqueline Martin and these women, leave my father and family alone.
Mm-hmm.
And only 5 days later, we get Margeret, she just needed that old man to say all those records were okay. And I remind you that the federal government needed these 4 men to be charged so they could declare the Emergencies Act. And they just went ahead and did it because they needed it. And what we have here is Margeret and Jacqueline disobeying Chris Lysak because why? They needed it. They needed that photo op. They needed to say, it's all been looked after. Don't worry, folks. All the families are just hunky-dory with all this. And it was a lie. That photo was a lie. The statement was a lie. And you know, for me, really, everybody loves Margeret Mackay. But for me, and I've cut her a lot of slack, but for me, when those 2 women, and I say that only because it's Chris Lysak's words, when they went knowing that Mike Lysak, the father, was not scheduled, does not have authorization, but they just desperately needed. Well, Chris Lysak was in jail and could do nothing about it. Didn't even know about it. But they just needed that post that everything was okay. That the records have been looked at. They needed that. And that's what they did. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
That's the end of me cutting Margeret Mackay any slack. Done. That's it.
I can tell you, Lysak is aware of that photo. It got to him really quickly. And we're going to get more information about his response on that soon.
Go.
please take note at this point of these two guys building their narrative. They're using the same media manipulation tactics as we've seen in the mainstream media over the last 4 years here.
There's still much to be told about the current situation, but now each of the 4 accused men, each of them has now established individual fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the Coutts 4 as a brand is gone. And what we've seen with Chris Lysak, when he first put up that new Give, Send, Go, there is a pent-up demand. Canadians want to help these men. But just as people said to me, once I saw what was happening with the Mackay fundraising group, I never gave again. Well, you know what? They gave again. That same person got back to me, and they contributed a whopping amount to Chris Lysak's fundraiser because they now had confidence that it would get where it was supposed to go.
Oh, I think I know who that is, and that's wonderful to hear.
Yes, it is. I don't know if we're talking about the same people. There's actually a couple of dozen that told me.
Yeah, well, there's one that reached out and did a whopping amount after the faith was restored. So maybe the same person.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's more than one.
Yeah.
Just something to put in there. These guys were bragging about the $200,000 they made very quick. I just want to get it in your heads to pay attention, take note of this part right here for what I'll be producing after here. And also keep watching these guys act. These are actors on here.
So that's what I have. I have written what I've written. I want to thank, really, Margeret, Mackay, for confirming, absolutely confirming my major findings in the report as to badges of fraud. Maybe she will come on that show and inform everyone why the decision was made to have no records. And that goes for Jacqueline too, because she was like frickin' frack there. So, and some others. Okay. So, and why did they disobey Chris Lysak? Why? Well, we know why. Okay.
Well, let's not use the word disobey, but dishonored. It was his honor. They went after. They dishonored him for sure.
So at this point, you guys hopefully are seeing that they just inverted this whole thing. Everything that they are saying about Granny and these women is actually what they're doing. Hopefully you're catching that.
It's elderly abuse. That's what it is.
Yeah, I've been accused of that myself, so I get it.
So that's it. Here we go.
All right, so you just sat through the master class of gaslighting and media manipulation. This is actually what they do for each point they make. They tag team off each other, and for each accusation, they build the narratives around the accusation, and they just keep repeating the lie, repeating the lie, repeating the lie until it becomes the truth. This is what they've done for each one. The full video of this will be in the show notes. Please go back, go through it, go look, see for yourself that they actually do this. Each accusation comes with a full narrative building the entirety, all of them. This is how they do it. This is how mainstream media does it. What we're going to go into next here is, my good friend. For the record, I was friends with both Jeremy, Mackenzie and Morgan May before all this happened, before I've seen more than enough to absolutely feel great about breaking those friendships going forward. So I'm going to start releasing a few things about Mr. Mackenzie, Morgan, and they're going to be gross. So first off, I'm going to go through Jeremy's post that he put out, and I'll read that to you guys here. So on the 16th of November, 2023, Jeremy Mackenzie writes, thanks to everyone who contributed to and shared the fundraiser for Chris Lyzak's lawyer retainer. We were successful in collecting nearly $200,000 in a matter of days to bring a top shelf law firm to take his case. $200K, let's remember that. We did this despite mind-boggling, unhinged attempts to sabotage the efforts by reporting the GSG as fraudulent and the recipients to the CRA, as well as sustained harassment of the Lysak family. The GSG was time sensitive, as we had until only this afternoon to pay the lawyer as per the agreement. Extra levels of scrutiny were required because of fraud reports, which caused a delay. Fortunately, we were able to negotiate an arrangement with the lawyer to at least make a partial deposit from money already raised that is in the Lysak's possession, until the Real Housewives of Alberta convinced Lysak Sr. to back out last minute, leaving the entire effort to die on the vine. So that you guys know, that was in those text messages earlier. It was $20,000 of Mr. Lysak's money, his own money, that they were asking for, as well as the 10 grand from Granny and others. Luckily, a great family friend of Chris's was able to step in and foot the considerable bill while we wait for the GSG funds to clear. It would appear that Jacqueline Martin, and for those that don't know, Jacqueline Martin is the wife of Jerry Morin and Chantal Grayson. Just to put it in perspective, Chantal used to work with Jeremy. She did a lot of his social media. She was there with him when he was in jail. So she knows a lot of stuff and is probably a good reason why Jeremy really hates her. So it would appear that Jacqueline Martin and Chantal Grayson are primarily responsible, among others. Both are suspected of fraud. Both have been levying threats at anyone critical or questioning their behavior. A retired Toronto police officer who spent his career in fraud investigations is compiling his own report on the situation that, without getting ahead of myself, is deeply troubling, to put it mildly. That Toronto police officer investigator is the used car salesman looking guy that you just saw on the previous video here. That's Donald. The Carbert and Lysak families have both been on the receiving end of attacks and have gone out of their way to express a desire to distance themselves as of this evening. It is not being respected. Lysak still needs a considerable amount of funding to finish payment for representation before trial. The sordid conduct of orbiting vampires have prioritized their need to play out a daytime soap opera or soap drama rather than do anything resembling actual assistance to the men incarcerated. Again, they're inverting the narrative. The actions of Martin, Granny, Grayson, and their satellite network of spinsters are not consistent with someone who has the welfare of the men in prison at heart. Normally, when great efforts are made to raise considerable amounts of money in order to bring aboard competent legal representation, most mentally cogent folks would be relieved for assistance. Instead, deranged slander and harassment campaigns of myself and many others continue. Many are beginning to wonder what the true intentions and motives of these women are. Again, inverting, because most of us are actually thinking the same thing of these two groups. Continuing, after nearly 2 years and dozens of fundraising efforts, the cold reality that adequate legal representation has not yet been achieved while fundraisers are taking weeks-long trips to Europe, driving around new vehicles, is alarming in itself. In 4 days, we were able to secure $200,000 to get just one man a lawyer. What the fuck is going on in Alberta? Hashtag Coutts4. That was from our dear friend Jeremy Mackenzie. He's always been a lyrical genius and a lot of gobbledygook, I think he calls it in there. 200,000 he's saying, as well as, yeah, you just saw the rest. So what I'm going to pull up on screen right now is the fundraiser. So for the last 4 days, I've been waking up, taking a screenshot each morning of Chris Lyzak's fundraiser. This was day one, 161, 435. Day two went up 80 bucks. Sorry, math's off, but you see. Day three, and then day four, you will see it is the exact same, meaning there was no donations. So in 4 days, they've managed to raise $210. And as well, it's only 161. I don't know where they're getting their 200,000. So that was a big deal, you guys, because at that moment when they were starting to spout that in 4 days we raised $200,000, everyone stopped being critical. Nobody cared. It doesn't matter, everyone was saying. It doesn't matter. Look at these guys are doing what's needed. They're raising the money. This is what's needed. We need money. These guys are doing it. So everyone just said, screw Granny. All right, let's see what these guys got. What you see today is every other one of these guys' accounts. Oleanek's got $2,000. I actually don't remember the other twos, but it's flatlined. Granny's 90% less donations than what she was doing before. She has had her legs cut out, kneecapped, I think Morgan calls that. Yeah, so this should show you guys that this isn't gaining. What these guys have essentially done is they've cut the throat out of all the fundraising now. Okay? They blasted out. So I want to see who these two big donors were that gave such a big lift to this. I think Kim Watson is the one that's taken care of Chris's actual fundraising account. So I think some questions should be asked to her. But all across the board, all of a sudden right now, there is no trust at all in fundraising on both sides because of what these two groups have done. Granny and the rest, they did nothing. All as they've been doing is raising money. This is all Granny's been doing since day one. The whole family's trusted her. Everyone's trusted her. No one was questioning anything about what she was doing except these guys. Now they jump in. They start manipulating stuff. They get stuff back to Chris. They get stuff back to Mike. Well, then there's fighting. Then it goes back the other way. Then all this stuff starts creating. At the same time, Granny's over there still making Christmas ornaments to sell now because donations are down, and she's just doing everything she can to still try to make money. But as of now, all fundraising across the board has been squashed. I believe personally, this is the purpose of what they were doing all of this for. Discrediting Granny, splitting up the Coutts 4, the brand they keep calling, and now all of a sudden conveniently, well, there's no donations going in at all. All right, so this one here is actually Morgan reaching out to Granny, I think it was 2 days ago. November 25th, so yeah, three, I don't even know the date. So here we go. Morgan May, good day. And this is to Granny. I have watched many videos and tried to keep up with it all. But at the end of the day, I still don't seem to have a solid answer in regards to your Scotland trip. I think my understanding, and that of many others, is that you paid for it out of pocket. I'm not interested in drama, only interested in making sure the guys have good legal representation and that these new fundraisers will help build people's trust back. So from Granny back to her. Good morning. I paid for my trip with my own money. I have only cared about the best interests of Chris, Jerry, Tony, Chris from day one, and I still do. There was no trust to earn back until the past few months. My Jeep is 7 years old. Not sure why I am being accused of using donation money for my vehicle. Could you please explain? I have been asking for help for over a year to have others advocate for these 4 men. Thank you for reaching out to me. I have nothing to hide. Margeret. And then we'll go to, and here's from whatever, a week ago, roughly a weekish. Here's Morgan. How much of the, this is on my post though. This is Morgan to me. How much of the fundraising went towards Granny's vehicle and trip overseas? Who voted on that? Who voted on that behind the closed doors, and who was left out of the voting? Were donors made aware that the money wasn't going towards the men? Betty Carbert, perspective is appreciated if you have the time. That was ignorant for her to do. Involving Betty here. First off, I think they've been working on poor Betty pretty hard, these groups here. So this is basically showing you guys that she's accused. These accusations have been going around for the last little while. Oh, how am I putting this? It's basically showing that these guys have said that Granny has done all these horrible things. She's stolen from the boys. She's just taken advantage of these guys, and they have all the evidence to prove it. But then you just saw 2 days ago, they're still scrambling to find out and look to see. We know they don't have any evidence. They know they don't have any evidence. By now, they would have actually brought it out. If they don't bring it out, with all these divides going on, all these divides everywhere, and they're saying they're just sitting on evidence, that's crazy anyways. They need to bring your evidence out, put it on the table for us to see. You guys should be doing this in the next 2 days. We need to clear a lot of stuff up here. All right, we'll keep going here. I don't really need to read the rest. The next one's funny though. I take it you're using the same proof as Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And the next person's just telling Morgan to drop it already. All right, so now what you're gonna see here is personal texts between me and Jeremy. So everyone knows the week prior to the tirade that he just went on with his post, raising the 200,000, all happy. I spent a few days in the week before trying to just to get them as much information as they needed. I was sending them all of the letters because he was saying stuff like, they're all leaving her, everyone hates her, blah, blah, blah. So I'd send the letters. I talked to him on the phone as well, but then we had some texts going back and forth. So the first text here I will read out. Me at the top in blue. I say incompetence maybe, it's not greedy theft by this woman. Telling us we didn't do shit okay. Can we have our 50K back? I don't know if he gave 50K. Here's his next line. I'm going to back this truck over the rest of them to save Lysick. I'm out of patience and they can suck my dick. I said, I didn't know she said that about you. Was it before or after you accused her of theft? He said, it's not just her, there's a whole crew of them and that they never shut the fuck up. I said, well, don't take it out on the boys. They're 100% on their own. I want nothing to do with them. I'm going to try to help Lysick. The rest can eat me. Granny doesn't go to her own fundraisers or show up in court, but does go to trips to Scotland, while these guys don't even have a competent lawyers. They're being completely fucked over by incompetent women at best, if they aren't flat out stealing, which seems to be the case, with tens of thousands of dollars. I answered, haha, she's legit. She's been fighting every day for these guys. Her trip is from her pocket. She's retired. The man's in prison. He can't do anything. These clowns, this is Jeremy again. These clowns are supposed to be taking care of this. That was the whole point. Nobody got the blueprint, I says, on how to fight tyranny, and not many have your smarts. All of our people are going to just focus on him from now on. The rest are on their own with their cackling coven of spinster drunks. Step 1, get a good lawyer. 19 months later, still no lawyer. So I want to point out something that he's saying right here. All of our people are going to just focus on him from now on. Goes on, Jerry's wife is a massive bitch. Yeah, I hear you two have a history, I said. And they're guilty as far as I'm concerned now. Probably should have got those whores under control. And I says, ha ha. No, just her being an insane person and taking advantage of everyone she can. I'm throwing them under the bus. And I said, oh, Jesus. This one is Granny is attacking. Question. They can completely get fucked. I'm all in on Lysak, and if the other three never get out, I don't care at all. I'm not helping people like that. They've been giving us shit for months and months because they have nothing better to do but be gossip queen women. Women should never be in a position of authority. It's nothing but problems from the army to everywhere else. Once we purge them all, we haven't had a single issue. Yak, 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 and drama all day, every day, useless. And I said, I recommend using your outside voice. Not using your outside voice when saying that, ha. Said, fuck that, they're the problem. Girl power was a disaster for the human race. I can count the competent women I know on my hands. They're only in charge of everything everywhere all the time. Politics, school boards, education and military, the police, the judges, lawyers, boss bitch feminists that are DEFCON 0 level retarded. So out of those texts, you're seeing that Jeremy doesn't give a shit about the other three. So that needs to be understood by everyone out there. Everyone involved. Jeremy is all in on Lysak. Great, that's awesome. But he's going to back his truck over the other three. What he's also showing here is he has a serious frickin' problem with women. And if you watch his shows, you'll see that rings very true there as well. All right, so I've got 30 hours in of watching Lavigne and Donald. Probably got 100 hours in of watching Jeremy over the last 4 years. What I've displayed here for you is one very small part. I just wanted to show how they're actually doing this for each one of these small parts. Please go into the show notes after and watch all 4 of the videos being put down. The first one, again, is going to be the report, the fake report, done by a guy who's not an investigator. The guy's got a very shady past, which I will be posting all of what we've got so that you guys can actually see who this guy is. He looks like he's more messed up in fraud than fraud investigating. That's for Donald. Jeremy, yeah, I'm going to be also putting Jeremy's last video he put out, his last show, which is, the name of it is The Last White Man. You guys can go watch that yourself. Go see what you think of this guy and what he thinks of brown people. Okay? I know, I won't, anyone that watches him know. They let him slide by with this stuff once in a while. He's gone after, the same thing as what's been done to Granny here, he already did to Parminder Singh. If anyone knows Parminder was with us at the front lines of the convoy, getting pepper sprayed in the face just like me. Jeremy was sitting, drinking coffee in his room, just by the way. These are real people that have been fighting for your rights and everything. Right now, they're doing a campaign on another one of our brown brothers, Colin Big Bear Ross. Jeremy's got some serious issues. He's a mental patient. This is what he is. He's a mental patient that has been allowed to run amok on the old interweb here. He doesn't like women. He absolutely hates them. And as you've seen, he has no care whatsoever for these boys. Whether he even gives a shit about Lysak, I don't know. I don't think this guy cares about anything. And I don't care. I'm outing them right now. It's anyone having issues with me doing this. This is very serious. These two groups have now used all these families, pitted them all against each other. They've divided all the community, the families, everyone. Like, what? Why was this needed? All of you guys, all you had to do was look over and say, "Oh, Granny's not raising enough money for these guys. Hey, let's get to work. Let's go do our own thing." Why did you guys need to crush that? Why did you need to crush Granny? Why did you need to crush the Coutts 4 brand that Donald keeps repeating how lucrative it is? Why didn't you just go do your own thing and leave them alone? Granny's only charge, and it wasn't charge, the only thing that she wanted to do for these guys was raise money and be on the phone with these guys. Talk to them. She was an ear for these guys this whole time. None of you guys were there for these people. None of you. But you all went and character assassinated this beautiful woman that everyone trusts. We all trust her. If you were to meet Granny and go up to her, you'd say, that's one of the people that is incorruptible. You cannot corrupt this woman. She has morals. Palminder Singh, another one. Colin Big Bear's been doing nothing but great stuff, sitting on the front lines of the convoy and many other stuff, getting pepper sprayed like the rest of us, while you guys were sitting where? Lavigne, hey, where were you? Where were you in the convoy? You seem to have just shown up right around the time when when the government needed spinster media to start in, right at the inquiry for the Emergency Act, Trudeau's Emergency Act. That's when you showed up. And that's when you started dipping your nose in. And then you've been on this rampage for 3 months. Ever since Granny stopped going on your show, you've been like that psycho ex-boyfriend that has to destroy his ex's future, everything. Just destroy. It's been pretty creepy, you guys. So a few things I want to just top off here. Granny never refused the family to see the books. Nobody asked. It was asked now because it's been pushed by Lavigne. Nobody even thought nobody cared to ask. All they wanted to do was, they trusted Granny. So everything, the only ones out there that didn't trust Granny right now has been has been Lavigne. Lavigne, just so everyone knows, only one person ever asked for a cash receipt this entire time. Guess who that was? Lavigne. So now he's blowing this all out of proportion, saying, oh, there's so many people that have been asking, there's so many. One person. Because everyone understands the deal with fundraisers. Everyone understands what the government's done. Lavigne and Donald, everything they're doing is pushing this towards making sure that the government has all the donor names. Everything they're doing is pushing it there. They're asking for a police audit. They want a new program for the way that fundraising is done. I don't think that they understand, because they weren't in this fight. They just showed up out of the blue, out of nowhere, after working for the government for most of his life, working on contracts for the government, working on contracts for Johnson & Johnson, the people that just brought out your jab, the CBC, working on the work from home software that was all installed just before the pandemic, meaning that he had inline understandings as well. So there's so many things, so many parts. I've spent hours on both of these guys. Spent hours checking out Jeremy. Actually went to go visit him and Morgan this summer. And yeah, these people need to be gone from anything to do with the Coutts 4. Especially Jeremy, you're poison to them right now. You're absolute poison to anything to deal with them. If you have an attachment, you're going to bring them down. Lavigne, Donald, you two need to be gone. You two are frauds, phonies. You've concocted all these lies. You have not produced one piece of evidence yet. Not even one. You've just created accusations and narratives to back up your accusations. You're two actors that are out here putting a hit out on someone called Granny, someone that has devoted her life to these boys. The woman's an angel. And it's like you guys have just come out of the dark shadows. You just can't stand seeing beautiful people like that or something. I don't know what this is, but you guys need to go. I think the lawyers should all be getting together, having a little talk to see whether or not actually removing you guys somehow, a cease and desist from even being a part of any of this. Right now, there's no donations going in, so there's no divisions that are going to cause they're done. Right now, they're plateaued right now. This all has to get fixed so that we can get back to work, getting donations and getting money to these lawyers. And moreover, holding the government account. At the beginning of all this is the government that was out there force inoculating our children, our grandparents in the senior homes. These guys have come in and they were killing our kids, this is our government. So the Coutts 4 were standing up against that. So something has to get turned back to the fact that the government's the actual ones that are wrong here. And this is the same thing that's going on with Granny, Mackay, and the Lavigne guys. They've caused all this ruckus, blamed, accused, Granny showed. We need to start looking back. We need answers from all these guys. Jeremy, Morgan, Lavigne, and Donald Best. You guys need to explain why you've done this. I have my reason, I have my thoughts as to why and where this goes, but yeah, you guys need to explain. So I don't know. Other things I wanted to say here. Granny never refused the family. All men received equal amounts. They keep pushing the lie that they didn't. It was explained, you understand it, all of them had the equal amounts. What else? Yeah, and I don't know to all the people watching out there how these two, Lavigne and Best, snuck in to become some sort of authority that they actually had the right. We got to be keeping our eyes out. These are two guys that just showed up and just caused all this grief. So, Kim and Marco need vetting now. If all of this shenanigans, and this is a purposeful operation on Granny to take away Granny, to divide all this and stop fundraising from happening, we need to focus on what's going on over in Kim Watson, whatever they're doing. I don't know. I actually don't know anything about them. But it has to be, look, Marco, Bob Blayone's got lots on him. He needs to answer a few questions from Bob. No more from Granny. No more, you guys. Granny will not be answering anything. She's answers to the family, and that's it. When Betty gets back, she'll be answering to Betty. The rest of you don't have a right. You guys have no rights at all anymore. You guys have accused. You've done nothing but divide. You guys have to answer. The onus is on you guys from now on. Granny's done enough. All right? Someone's got to start making stuff now for donations. Okay, guys, sorry, this isn't my forte. I tried getting this stuff out the best I could. Hopefully it's clear. Hopefully you guys are seeing with what was displayed here. I don't know if I should have added any of this gobbledygook at the end. I should just probably leave the evidence to show what it's saying. But hopefully you guys go over it. There's going to be all 4 videos that you guys should watch. Anyone that wants to know the full story of all this, watch these 4 videos. Suffer like I've had to and watch and listen to these guys gaslight and do everything they've done to these poor women, to the Coutts 4, manipulating Mr. Lysak, torturing Chris Lysak even more. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but it's back on you guys now. I'd say you guys have a couple of days. Hurry up, get all your evidence out. Let's see it. And if you don't, well, I don't know. There's more coming at you guys. So as well, Granny's had to now file put a police file in on all this stuff. They've been collecting all the evidence the whole time. The full 3 months is all documented, and it shows exactly what Lavigne's been doing up till here. So anyone else out there, going forward, I'm actually going to make sure that I send this to everyone that's going on your show going forward. Anyone coming up on your show is going to get this package so that they can see what they're going on. All your past guests, I'm going to send it to them as well. Your lies need to stop here, you guys. So anyways, that's going to conclude it. I did the best I can getting this stuff out. I'm not a good speaker. I'm more of a thinker. And I'm more of a guy that is able to read people. And getting this stuff out wasn't easy. And just doing this in general sucked. I'm supposed to be on a hiatus to go get my health in. So I had to stop and take care of this stuff. You know how hard on the soul this shit is. You guys are gross. You're disgusting, putrid human beings. You should all be ashamed of yourselves for what you've done to these beautiful women, to the Coutts boys and their families. Special place in hell for you guys.